Recently, I got my hands on a Switch OLED model, which is an incredibly impressive and expensive piece of tech, so I really wanted to protect it. Luckily, the kind people over at Play Vital have sent me a couple of Switch accessories that we're going to take a look at today. Hello and welcome to Retro Breeze. I want to give a big thank you to Play Vital for sending me these items for review. Note that when I review something, I don't let the companies view anything related to my review, including scripts and the final video, before I upload them. What you get as a viewer is my completely unbiased and uncensored thoughts on the product. You're going to want to stick around to the end of this video because there's a really simple but pretty cool Switch accessory that I think a lot of people will find useful. And also be sure to subscribe to my channel because I have a lot of interesting videos coming out soon, including some Steam Deck accessories from the same company. The main event though is this really awesome looking retro themed case that makes the Switch OLED look kind of like a Super Nintendo, which is right up my alley. The box here was pretty nondescript and basic, but there was plenty inside it. I was actually confused at first at the many different Joy-Con pieces that were in here. Here's what the front cover for a Joy-Con looks like, and I was immediately impressed by the honestly surprising quality of the material. It's kind of a soft plastic, it's fairly thick and it's really rigid, and notably, it has absolutely no hard edges or tags of plastic that could scratch or damage your Switch. And at this moment I realized what the extra Joy-Con parts were. There's both a flat version that is just like the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons are, and a version with a special raised grip, and I was super excited about this. There's also some analog stick covers in here which are very rubbery and soft. Underneath, we have an instruction manual that is incredibly detailed and clear. It's full color with a good quality print and well detailed annotations and steps. I have to say that at this point I was actually really impressed with this package overall so far. Underneath we had the various adhesives, yes adhesives, that will be used to apply the case to the Switch. But don't worry, as you'll soon see, this is an excellent way to apply the case. There's also some button caps which are kind of rubbery and really small, and a gamer manual with some FAQs, and also a note to say that they'll take your ideas on board if you email them, which is pretty cool. Here are the Super Nintendo style color button caps. They're kind of a hard but slightly rubbery material, but they feel pretty nice. And finally, here's the case itself. I just absolutely love how this looks. The print quality is nice and sharp, and it looks pretty legit. The case and the hinge flap are separate pieces, of course. And again, this is a softish plastic, which is really rigid, but not too hard, and there are no sharp edges or tags that are going to scratch your Switch. Alright, so given everything in this box and this kind of huge instruction manual, I wasn't planning on this video being a tutorial, but I guess we're going to do a tutorial. Here's how to apply the Play Vital Switch OLED hard case. We will of course follow the included instructions, and I'll give you my input along the way as well. There are 3 sizes of the long stickers in the box, and you get enough, just about, for 2 applications. There's also stickers for the buttons and for the cartridge flap. The only thing I was kind of sad about is that there's not enough stickers for the buttons to do 2 applications. I really hope they include just 4 more stickers in future. We also get these cleaning wipes in the box, so let's go ahead and clean the back and the top and the bottom edges of the Switch. This is actually really important to make sure the adhesives have a good bond. You'll notice a smaller ridged sticker, and we're going to stick that to the top inside edge of the case. Notice that there are little beveled areas for the stickers, so it's really hard to put them in the wrong place. Just make sure the size matches up. There are some smaller, long stickers that go in the indents on the top edge, like this. And finally, the large stickers go on the main part here. This is really easy if you just follow the instructions. Now it's time to remove the top layer of the stickers. They should come off easy if you pull diagonally rather than straight along the sticker. There's little resistance, so if you need to pull hard, you're probably pulling the sticker off itself. Tweezers might make this easier honestly, but I didn't need them. Alright, with all that done, let's go ahead and add the Switch. Starting with the top edge that has the buttons and the cartridge flap, push the Switch against the top edge of the case, and then simply lower it into the bottom part. You'll notice that this case does not grip the Switch hardly at all. It doesn't click or clip into place. It's held in place completely by the adhesive, even though it forms to the Switch shape. I absolutely love this design, because it really seems like this is not something that's going to damage or scratch your Switch at all, because of how soft and flexible it is and how it's kept in place. As for the stand cover, we've got 4 of the large stickers for the horizontal lines, and 2 medium stickers for the vertical. Just put the stickers in the slots and you'll be fine. Remove the top layer, grab your Switch, and just as simply, lay the cover flat onto the kickstand, making sure that it's aligned horizontally with the slot at the bottom. Make sure you apply some gentle rubbing pressure to make sure that the adhesives get a good bond. And so now it's time for the cartridge cover. Take one of the two thicker white stickers. Apply the sticker onto the cartridge flap on the Switch itself, conforming it to the curve. Try and get it really central here and not too close to the top or the bottom of the flap. Remove the top layer to reveal the adhesive. And now this next part is a little bit finicky and you really want to get it right. I messed it up to begin with and it was really difficult to take it off at first, so I'm going to show you what went wrong and how to fix it. I actually ended up sticking the case flap to the upper edge, not the lower edge of the Switch's cartridge flap. This meant that I couldn't open the flap because it pushed against the case. So the key here is to align the case flap with the bottom edge. I literally pushed it down towards the case here to ensure it was right. So make sure that it's seamless with the case and not the top edge of the Switch. After this, the flap worked perfectly, so just take it slow and make sure that you're putting it on right. You should be able to open and close the Switch cartridge flap no differently than you could before. And with that over, the hard part is over. The case has been successfully applied with very little trouble. It looks absolutely great, hardly adds much bulk at all, and the kickstand and the cartridge flap all work perfectly. Excellent. Now let's do the Joy-Cons. There's only one front cover for each Joy-Con, which you can just lay on top. But there's two different styles of backs. One is flat and matches the Switch Joy-Con style, and the other has a smooth, raised grip, which is very similar to the AYN Odin and extremely comfortable to hold. I highly recommend using these. Simply snap them together with the front side, and go around all the edges, pushing them together just to make sure they're fully attached. They should click very loudly when they click into place. And I have to say that even if these Joy-Con covers are the only piece of this kit that you use at all, they are absolutely amazing. The raised grip is 100 times more comfortable than the Joy-Cons used to be by themselves. It actually makes me wonder why Nintendo didn't use this design or come out with like an alternative Joy-Con with this design. It is so much better, it actually is hilarious. I personally don't think I am ever going to take these grips off again. They feel so good in the hands. Again, even with nothing else, all the buttons work fine, stick works fine, everything. It's just, they're so good and just so comfortable to hold whether they're attached to the Switch or not. I cannot say it enough, I love these Joy-Con covers. Anyway, it's now time to add the button caps. Take the circular adhesives and apply them to the Joy-Con buttons as centrally as possible. Now don't worry, these won't affect the painted labels on the buttons themselves. I've tested it and they don't damage them. To remove the top layer a little bit more easily, I recommend running your nail over the edges to make a ridge on the edge next to the flap. This makes them a little bit easier to remove without pulling the sticker itself off. You can also just wait like a minute or two after you apply the sticker and then it should stay stuck and the label will come right off. Anyway, pull off the top layer by pulling at an angle just like before, and then simply just drop the button caps on top as centrally as you possibly can. You do have a bit of play after you push the cap on when you first put it on, so if you need to, you can just kind of nudge it and push it around just to get it right in the middle. And here's one side done and it is looking absolutely awesome. With the button caps, the button travel is really excellent and stays well above the case. It feels really good. And I'm just going to repeat it on the other side. I went for a kind of mirrored look in terms of the colors, but you get plenty of button caps in the package, so you can customize this however you like. And we're almost done, just time for the analog stick covers now. Just invert the cover completely around your thumb, lay it over the center of the stick, and push the edges down. It should flip around on its own and grip the stick. It did take me a couple of tries, but once I had the technique down, the second one was easy. And here we go. I think you'll agree that this is an absolutely great look for the Joy-Cons. The stick covers look and feel very good and very grippy, and the slight rubbery buttons feel great too. The caps over the buttons are just such a nice touch because they just make the buttons feel so much better with the case on, and prevent them from going flush with the case. So let's attach the Joy-Cons to the Switch and take a look. And I'm really happy to say that the covers do not block the attachment mechanism at all, and the whole thing looks very seamless with everything on. And it just looks so good. Let's jump into a game and see how we go. Unfortunately, I forgot to add the Super Nintendo Virtual Console, so I'm just going to use the N64 one instead. And wow, I just love this retro look so much. It looks absolutely great, and I really love how seamless the case is. The soft, smooth plastic feels very high quality too. The Switch doesn't seem noticeably heavier to me either, and I think that's because the Joy-Con grips really help with the comfort. which makes any extra weight that might be there completely indistinguishable. Ah, wow, I have to say that the feeling in the hands here is so much better than stock on the Switch, it's absolutely absurd. The shape of these raised Joy-Cons is just about perfect, and genuinely make the Switch just a much better experience to play on handheld mode. The buttons are rubbery, which is kind of unusual, but I actually really like them, and the caps raise the buttons enough to be comfortable and not go flush with the case. The analog stick covers are just simple and rubbery and just work great. I think they're mostly there for aesthetics, but they feel just fine as well. I am so incredibly impressed by this case. It looks absolutely great, it's manufactured well, and the design is just about perfect. It looks really retro, it doesn't really look trashy, the print quality is good, the material is good, it stays stuck firmly in place, Joy-Cons attach and detach perfectly. Seriously, I honestly don't think I could rate this any higher. I'd have no complaints about it whatsoever. Listen, here's some truth about me. I am terrible at Mario Kart. All of them. It's just one of those games I cannot play. My wife and I play all the time and I get absolutely wrecked every single game, no matter what. It's just one of those games I just cannot play. Same with Street Fighter. But this right here was my best run ever in Mario Kart 64. I absolutely dominated this. I'm not necessarily saying that's because of the Play Vital case, but I don't know, it makes me wonder, maybe these Joy-Con grips do make a big difference. Alrighty, so the big question I can hear you asking right now is, does it still fit in the dock? And the short answer is, yes, of course it does. And the long answer is that the Play Vital case eliminates the really annoying wobble that both the OG and this OLED Switch had when they were in the dock. The Switch in the case slides in with absolutely no friction and remains firmly in place with no wobble, even when I shake the dock, or rattle it, or the table. I really don't want to go overboard and gush here, and my reviews are always unbiased and uninfluenced by the supplier, but this case has really blown me away. I was not expecting to love it this much. Overall, I just think it's really well designed and really well made, and this case just keeps your Switch safe without damaging it. By the way, here's what the flat design Joy-Cons look like as well, rather than the raised ones if you prefer. Now, I don't want to gush here, and I always try and make my reviews unbiased and uninfluenced by the supplier, but this case has really blown me away. I really was not expecting to love it this much, and now I don't think I'm ever going to remove it, honestly. Well, actually, I am. I'm going to show you in this clip here, because I really want to show you that the adhesive strips come off really easily. They tend to stay on the case and not the Switch, but even if they do come off on the Switch, you can simply roll along them to roll them up into a little ball and just pull them off. As you can see, there's absolutely no residue or marks after removing the case. I won't pain you with me reapplying the case after this video, but I did do that. So Play Vital sent me over one more accessory to look at, and it's essentially a fabric dust cover. It appears to be pretty good quality and holds a good square shape. Simply slide the cover over your Switch when you're not using it to keep it free from dust and other nasties. I really love this cover in concept for keeping your Switch dust free, but it's really important that you don't use it while you have the Switch on and in docked mode, because it will prevent airflow and could cause your Switch to overheat. However, this cover should be pretty useful if you're not going to use your Switch for a while, like maybe you're working the day, or you're leaving overnight, or you're going on a trip for a few days. It will just keep the dust out. However, I do find the Velcro strap to be a bit of a silly design, because I just want to pull this off and put it back on. But if you strap the cables around the Velcro, it kind of traps them, and if you just forget and try and lift it, it could like knock your Switch over and stuff. So I would probably just cut this Velcro off personally, and just use it as a slip-on, slip-off cover for when I'm not using the Switch. I'm not saying this is an essential accessory for your Switch, but I do think it serves a really good purpose to keep your Switch dust-free when you're not using it. And I really like that, especially with the upward-facing headphone jack and vent at the top. And that about covers it for this video. Two, honestly, really excellent accessories for your Nintendo Switch from Play Vital. I've put a link to this case, as well as the other two retro-themed cases they have, in the link in the description box below. If you have an OG Switch, they have cases and accessories for you as well as honestly a whole treasure trove of other stuff for controllers, the Steam Deck, and more. So check those out if you're interested. And that is it for me. Big thanks to Play Vital for sending me these accessories to test out, I really appreciate that. I'm really impressed with the case, especially these luxurious Joy-Cons. No matter what, I'm never taking these off. And I find the cover to be a pretty helpful product for when my Switch is not in use. And of course, thank you to you for watching this video, and I look forward to bringing you more reviews in the coming days. Thank you very much for watching Retro Breeze, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.